To really find who you are, especially through Christ, is to lose yourself.
And then he breaks me down again after I've learned something from the previous day, and then he builds me back up again. So it's just like this constant rebirth. I don't even think there's a way to make this short, but I think a lot of my spiritual awakening came from like the evolution of my identity. Um, a lot of a lot of the love I found has been rooted in my identity with people. And so like this past couple of years, I discovered my identity in Christ. And it broke me down. It definitely broke me down. But I think I don't know, girl, how do I even explain this? I think one thing I'm gonna say is it's been a lot of tough relationships. I think my testimony is mainly breaking out of not just toxic relationship, abusive relationships in many different ballparks, manipulative relationships, things like that. And what I would do is I would try and find myself in other people, and then I would come back home and still hide from myself. So it always felt like I was pouring out and never pouring back in. And so I went for university, and I think that was my first taste of independence. I had extremely strict parents, so I actually wasn't able to find myself until I was away from that, and I was allowed to kind of find the error in my ways and not just be hidden from the error in my ways. Yeah, that's even how I found music as well, and God kind of has been using that to speak through me, things that I haven't ever thought I'd be able to do. He's allowing me to do them, and I say allow, meaning just like opening up new doors and pushing me into them, almost like gifting me like new life. So I'm just so grateful. He's just replaced every single thing and every one that I've ever known, and ever toxically valued, and shifted it into just grace to be, not to not have to fill up a space, but to just be. I would say that.
All right, how to make this short. Essentially, my spiritual awakening kind of came abruptly. I had to move cities because of how heavy I was feeling, oppressed by depression, by so many things. And I felt like I needed to escape, so I escaped to Montreal. And that's where I think I had my very first spiritual awakening, and it was God essentially revealing himself to me. The only way I could explain it really is when he called me by my name for the first time, and my name actually meant something. Because for so long I was going by Charlie, an alias, instead of going by my full name. And so when I heard it and I heard his voice for the first time, that's when I was like, whoa. It was an awakening that opened up so many questions. So yeah, it was really just about knowing that he's real.
I think I think the only way I can answer that is just saying the church has replaced purity with silence. I think they've misunderstood the idea of learning, and the idea of growing involves making mistakes and seeing everything, not only just seeing one way of doing things. So there's this like abuse of just like religious behavior, just constant rhythm, almost abusive rhythm, always doing the same thing, and only being able to see one way of life through which God can express himself. So it's been tough, but I know that obviously God is kind of renewing knowledge in his people and removing ignorance, which essentially I believe is silence.
Oh, wow. So, as a woman, clearly there's been some disparities on what it actually means, not only to be a woman in the church, but to how women are treated in the church. Separate from the homosexuality and everything else, I know the sexual abuse has been swept a lot in the church industry. I know now that it's more vocal and people are more adamant about sharing their testimonies and making it more about like what happened. I just don't think the church deals with the aftermath quite well. Even when it comes out, I feel like it's a lot of victimization and victimhood instead of actual growth and healing through God, and through forgiveness, because that's really powerful. It's very, very powerful. And then I would say with homosexuality, it's not dealt quite well because it's one extreme to another. There's extreme progressiveness that accepts the sin as it is and doesn't expect God to change the person for who they're supposed to be. But then there's also the extremity of hating the person instead of hating the sin, because you can't hate God's creation, right? So yeah, I feel like there's just a disparity between finding the middle ground. And then as a woman, it's trying to, because we're nurturers, we're birthers, we're like, God has called us to do so many things. And so it's very difficult sometimes to be vocal about those things and be taken seriously.
Lifted.
Whew. Growing. Yeah.
I think God has helped me in the journey of healing and thriving, just allowing me to be my most authentic self. I find that most of my life I've been living in a mask or under a mask. And what he's done is he's brought out just the purity of who I am, by, as Charlene has said severally, becoming ash, just becoming broken down, becoming myself at just the root and building myself up again. And so through that, I think he's just been able to bring life into every single thing I do, whether it's waking up, whether it's singing, whether it is praying, whether it is talking to a friend or a mentor. I think he's just resuscitated me in every possible way.
Essentially, he's really helped me with honing my craft and through my gifts. So he's been helping me write, he's been helping me produce, he's been helping me just create, and through that came healing, especially with writing. That was like the first big step.